This nugget is about the adaptations of plants. The image you can see shows the leaves from a common garden plant called hosta. The leaves of plants are covered in a special waxy layer known as the cuticle. This is designed to prevent water loss from the leaves. Plants constantly strive to preserve water. To help preserve water, this marram grass can curl up its leaves to protect the plant from water loss by keeping the waxy layer facing outwards, and any part of the leaf without this protection inside the curl. These are what we call structural adaptations. As with animals, these structural adaptations can take on many forms and have many functions. Structural adaptations in plants can be for defense as well as for water preservation. Take the plant family Rosaceae, including typical rose varieties. They have thorns on the stems to ward off potential threats. And as with all adaptations, these structures often have multiple uses. On a cactus, the spikes are actually the leaves. They are super small to avoid water loss, but also tough to stop animals from threatening the water inside the fleshy stem. This structure also means that the stem does a lot of photosynthesis and changes the surface area to volume ratio by not having large leaves for water to evaporate from. You can also see another structural example in these images. The colourful flowers of the rose attract pollinating insects, which aid reproduction in plants. Structural adaptations can also enable plants to have unique behaviours. The curled-up marram grass we looked at earlier is a good example of this. It can curl and uncurl itself depending on how much water it has. And the sunflowers in this image are able to move as the sun moves in order to angle their leaves towards the sun, to maximise the opportunity to absorb sunlight for photosynthesis. Plants can also grow different roots in response to different conditions. Take for example a desert ecosystem. It rarely rains in these areas, so water is generally only found really deep down, or, if it does rain, right on top of the surface. Different plants respond by either growing shallow roots towards the surface water, or long roots to the deep underground water, or often a combination of both types of root. But the key to this is that the plants can grow roots to wherever the water is available. These are all behavioural adaptations of plants. It may be funny to think of them as behaviours as such, but plants are more intelligent than you might believe. Many of these behaviours are known as tropisms, movement towards resources the plants need for survival. Leaves of plants have small openings on their underside called stomata. They allow gases to diffuse into and out of the leaf. These stomata can open and close depending on the time of day and the weather conditions. There are even some quite frankly bizarre behavioural adaptations, like the Venus flytrap that can open and close its leaves to trap insects inside and break them down into nutrients that are not available in the soil. Plants have also adapted at a cellular level. Nettles produce toxins that cause a nettle sting when you brush past them, and the deadly nightshade plant can produce enough toxin to kill a human. These are functional adaptations, and plants don't only have functional adaptations for defense, they are also adapted to produce nectar that encourages pollinating insects, such as these bees, to collect the nectar and spread the pollen from plant to plant. In summary, there are many different types of ecosystem around the planet. Plants are uniquely adapted to their environments. These changes have occurred over huge time periods. In an ecosystem, plants will compete with one another for the available resources. Competition for space is key to this, as it limits the availability of resources. Plants have specific adaptations that enable them to outcompete other animals in different conditions. These adaptations fall into three categories: Structural, for example, changes to colour or shape. Behavioural, such as movements or tropisms towards water, sunlight and nutrients. And functional, related to cellular processes, such as making toxins or poisons and nectar. Keywords: behavioural adaptation, changes to behaviours such as movement towards sunlight and water. Competition, an interaction between organisms or species in which both require a resource that is in limited supply. Functional adaptation, changes to cellular processes, for example, nectar production. Interdependence, how organisms in a balanced ecosystem rely on each other. Stomata, openings on the underside of leaves that are controlled by guard cells, allows gas exchange in plants. Structural adaptation, physical changes such as colour or shape.